So basically today I'm just going to be talking about how to speed up an iPod Touch 4th generation. I got this recently as I got rid of my iPhone 4S, upgrading to a Nexus 5, but I still wanted an iOS device so I could get to my apps if I wanted to. And the first thing I noticed when I got it, because this is from my sister, is that it is stupidly slow sometimes. You know, the stuttering and the freezing and the force closes, it's just dreadful. So I found out a few ways really of speeding the device up. So to start quite basic, the first thing is if you have something open that you're not using, close it from the multitasking bar, because even though they say that the multitasking is just suspending, it's, in my opinion, it's still there and it still knows it's there. So it must be taking some CPU cycles or something along those lines. I think it feels more fluid than when there's nothing open in the background. Something else I do is if you don't use Spotlight, is go to Settings, General, Spotlight Search, and then uncheck everything in the list, assuming you don't use anything, because it'll just free up a bit of RAM because it doesn't have to index those things then. Something else I do is if you in the notification center, you see these two widgets that they have, the weather and the stocks widget. I'd go into notifications center in your settings and turn them off. It's just less animation really to deal with when you're swiping down into the notification center. And I would turn off as much as you can of your iCloud, because then it doesn't have to sync in the background really. So I've turned off Reminders, Safari, Notes, Passbook, PhotoStream, Documents and Data, and Find My iPod. Find My iPod is turned off because I literally am not going to take this out of the house. I think the main ones are PhotoStream and Documents and Data. Documents and Data, I'm pretty sure it's syncing app data to the cloud, other than their own apps. And PhotoStream is obviously uploading your photos to computer. The only reason I wouldn't turn them off is if you had other iOS devices, but in my case I don't. I only have this iPod now. So something else that I've done is I've actually got Opera Mini, because it's a bit more of a lightweight browser. It has some quite good settings, like the ability to change image quality to low. It's a little bit snappier. It's not necessarily better than Safari because it's not as flashy, and there are a few issues with some web pages because it's not too friendly with some things like Twitter. Some things on Twitter don't work, I don't think. But if you have the app, then it doesn't really matter then, does it? And it just scrolls quickly. As you can see, it's quite fluid. Whereas I keep getting a lot of crashes going on in Safari, so I think Opera Mini is probably a better option. And the other thing is it uses less data if you're using a tethered phone or something like that. So that's a lot better. And then the last thing I'd say to make it faster is just don't have loads of things open together at the same time in the multitasking bar. Maybe if you're going to be on Facebook, just be on Facebook and be web browsing. You don't need to be on Facebook, web browsing, Twitter, YouTube, everything at once, because it's only got a single core processor and 256 megabytes of RAM, I think. So it's just, in today's standards of what we expect from our phones and iPods, it's just not there anymore. So that's probably the best way to make it usable on a day-to-day basis, and it'll save battery if you keep doing those things. So I hope I've helped. That's all.